In this video, I'm going to show you every single feature and what they do inside of the Solidify modifier, updated for 2025. This modifier has a ton of cool settings you probably don't know about, so let's hop right into it. And if you're brand new to hard surface modeling and want to learn our entire workflow in about 1 to 2 weeks with just 30 to 60 minutes per day of work, like over 4,000 students have done at this point, check out the link in the top of the description or in the pinned comment for more information and to see how we can get you very, very proficient at this workflow very quickly. Now let me just give you a quick basic rundown. What does the Solidify modifier even do? It does one of two things. It either adds thickness to flat geometry, like a plane, or it'll create a hollow shell from a 3D object. So for example, say you have a manifold 3D object. When you add a Solidify modifier, it'll create it into a hollow version with a defined wall thickness. You can kind of see that on the screen right now. So it either gives a flat surface thickness or it gives a three-dimensional manifold object a bit of a thickness on the inside and it'll make it hollow. That's all the Solidify modifier does. So we're going to start with the basic settings here. I'm going to go to add modifier, generate, and then solidify. And you're going to see we have a simple mode and a complex mode. The complex mode is new. I'm going to show you how that works. It's actually very, very cool. Stick around so you can see how this works. I'm going to show you a pretty mind-boggling example. But what we're going to do here is simply adjust the thickness. If you go in the negative, it goes up. If you go in the positive, it goes down. That's simple. Now, likewise, you're going to have an offset. You're going to have either 1, which is going to go in this direction. -1 will go in the opposite direction. But the one that you're probably going to find most use for is setting the offset to 0. This is basically the same as solidifying equally in both directions. You can see when I do that, instead of just going in one direction, right, which we might not want, the offset set to 0 is actually going to do it in even directions on both sides. This is very popular in, CAD software. Next up, I'm going to show you how these two settings right here work. So fill is very basic. If I turn this off, it's not going to actually fill those edges together. Usually you're going to keep that turned on. And then the only rim option, basically what this does here is if you turn this on, it's going to remove the bottom face here. It's going to remove the rim. So maybe you need that, maybe you don't, but that's what the only rim feature does on the object. Now let's say I had, a more complex object, maybe like this. You're going to see these settings do the same thing. You can turn on or off the fill, and you can turn on or off the rim. Now, in this example, you're going to see it solidifies a bit inconsistently. Notice how it's kind of panning out in this direction. To fix that, you can actually turn on the even thickness feature. You're pretty much going to keep that turned on 100% of the time. I have never not used this feature. Just keep it turned on, and you're going to get a result like this. Now, these are the basic settings that you'll use in, most situations, but I'm going to show you the new complex feature. I haven't really seen any tutorials on this, but it is very, very useful and does some pretty cool stuff. Now, if I go here and I have a shape like this, I want to quickly show you something that some of you might not know. If you have a single edge like this with more than basically 3 faces going into it, you can kind of see we have a face right here connected to this edge, and then we have this face also connected, and then we have this face also connected. In any situation where you have, 3 of those going into a single edge, this would be considered a non-manifold object. This is actually a mathematical proof that I remember having to do this back in university. My degree's in mathematics. I studied specifically in the graph theory field. This is actually a proof we had to make, but doesn't really matter for Blender. What I want to show you is that it is physically impossible, no matter what you do, to have a manifold object when you have a setup like this. So say, for example, I wanted to patch this up, right? I could fill in this area, and then I could fill in this area right here. Right? The issue with this is you're going to have an interior face, right? This interior face, it means it's going to be non-manifold. You can see that when I check it here with the 3D print toolbox. So no matter what I do here, even if I don't patch this side, we're still going to have a non-manifold object. So whenever you have a situation like this, guys, even if you, patch this part, you're always going to have a non-manifold object if you have one edge and 3 faces going into it. This is just like a basic truth, you could say. So what's pretty cool about this is where the complex version of the Solidify modifier is really going to shine. So say I kept this on simple and I just didn't change this to complex. You're going to see it solidifies kind of like this. I could turn on even thickness. But if I were to apply this, we're going to have this absolute mess of geometry. You can see how, how that looks. If I check it, we still have non-manifold geometry. Even if I go in this direction right here, then apply that, same issue. We have this, non-manifold, messy issue going on. Now, if I change this here over to complex, this will fix that issue completely. So take a look at this. You can see with simple how this is solidifying, but if I change this over to complex, it solidifies a little bit differently. So you can adjust the thickness right here. You can go in this direction or in this direction. Now, I'm going to go in this direction, and then I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to keep the default setting, which is set to constraints, and I'm just going to apply this Solidify modifier. Now we actually have a fully manifold object. The only issue here is we have some edges we can probably dissolve out. So I can go ahead and select everything. I can go to X, and then I can go to limited dissolve here. And you're going to see we actually have a completely manifold thick object here using that complex feature. So that is the first setting. It's set to constraints. Now if I go here to even, you're going to see nothing is really changing here. I'm going to kind of show you like briefly the difference between constraints and even. They're very similar. But if I set this to fixed, this is basically operating very similarly to the simple feature. If I set this to fixed, it's going to try to keep everything consistent and even like before. But in this situation, I can't exactly use the fixed feature because we just have this mess now. And even though it's technically manifold, we have overlaps, and it's just not going to work in this case. So I'm going to show you real quick the difference between even and constraints because they are very, very similar. So let's say I just went here and I turned off this feature real quick, and then I inset this area, then I extrude this out. And then I decide to go in here and set this to even, for example. Now, when I set this to even, you're going to see it kind of pushes this geometry out a little bit, which maybe you want, maybe you don't. This is going to work very similarly to the simple feature with the even thickness, but if I change this over to constraints, it's going to try to keep everything even and offset very consistently, very evenly. Now, from when I've played with these settings, I pretty much have found that you pretty much always want to use the constraints feature in situations like this. I would just keep this set to constraints, don't change it, and you're going to be good. And again, you have the same exact settings here. You can adjust the thickness here. You can adjust the offset. I just keep this on whatever works in my situation, right? And then you also have something called merge threshold. This is basically the same as like the merge by distance feature. You can go in and merge close by geometry based on this threshold. It's not really that important if I'm honest, but you can see when I move that, eventually it's just going to start collapsing. I don't really see a point of using this feature. Now, before we continue, guys, if you want to learn our entire hard surface modeling workflow in under 2 weeks with about 30 to 60 minutes per day of work, then check out our accelerator program in the link in the top of the description. We have gotten thousands of students at this point extremely proficient in Blender in a very short period of time. We can do this for you as well. If you want to skip the YouTube rabbit holes and just get the information so you can start your own projects as quickly as possible. So again, I'll link that program in the top of the description or in the pinned comment. So the next feature I want to show you is the Vertex group feature. Now, the Vertex group feature is going to allow you to basically choose where you want to have the Solidify. So let's say, for example, I had something like this. Now, in this case, we're going to have a pretty uniform solidification, right? Now, what I can actually do here is I can select vertices. I can go to Vertex group and then click on the assign feature. That is going to assign a selection there. And then I can also, do this to this area. But let's say right here, I assign this to 0.2, click assign. And then I assign this one to 0.4 on the weight. We'll click assign. And then I go to this one and I set this one over to 0.6. And then I click assign here. And then I set this one here to maybe 0.8 and then click assign here as well. Now, what we need to do is we need to go to the Solidify modifier, choose that vertex group, and now we basically have, a result like this where we're going from a very small effect to a much larger effect here because we're using vertex groups and we're making this one have less weight, but this one has more weight, and this one has more weight, this one has more weight as well. I don't use this too often, but that's how it works. All right, next up, let's say I have a cylinder here or really any object, and I want to add a thickness to it. Obviously, I can go in and I can do that. You're going to see in this case, it basically makes it a hollow object. Now, there's going to be a setting here under normals for flip and high quality. Now, flip is just going to flip the normals, so you probably don't need to use that, right? But high quality normals is essentially going to make the thickness of the Solidify based off of the normal direction. This will basically make it a little bit more accurate in terms of the evenness, but if I'm honest with you, it makes so little difference in all the situations I've tried that you can just keep this turned off by default because it's just going to be a little bit slower in terms of computation. All right, so next up, let's say you have an object like this, you add a Solidify modifier to it, and you also have two different materials. I'm going to add one, then I'm going to add two. Let's say material number 2 is a different color, and material number 2 is assigned to this region right here, and I go into material mode. You're going to see the result we have right here, all right? Now, what I can actually do is I can go into the Solidify modifier, I can go down to materials here, and if I change this from 0 to 1, what it's going to do is it's going to allow that solidification to also inherit that material as well. So you don't have to reassign the material essentially. You can see in this case, this is material number 1, which is why we have it set to slot number 1. 0 would just be number 0 in here essentially. So it will not inherit that material. Maybe you need this, maybe you don't. I don't really use this ever, but I figured I'd show it to you in the tutorial anyways. Also, if you want this to extend over to the rim of the solidification, you can actually go in here and put this to number 1 as well. All right, the next setting I want to show you is actually pretty useful as well. This is when you're using a Solidify modifier with a sub-D modifier. So I'm going to add in a plane. I'm going to go to Solidify, increase this a bit, maybe set this to 0 right here so it goes evenly in both directions. Then I'm going to go here to Edge Data. Now, if I change any of these right now, nothing is going to happen. That is because this is particularly set for sub-D workflows. So say I add a sub-D modifier with Control 3, and I want to crease some of these areas. Let's say I want to have, for example, if I apply this Solidify, let's say I wanted this top area right here to have a crease like that, or maybe I wanted the bottom area to have a crease, or maybe I wanted the rims here to have a crease. Now I could apply the Solidify like I just did and then do this manually, but number 1, that's not non-destructive. Number 2, it's multiple steps. So what we can do instead is with the Solidify modifier still here and the sub-D going after, I can go here to Edge Data, and then if I want to crease the upper portion, the inner portion, I can change this to 1. Sorry, I had that the wrong way. That's the bottom. If you want to do the upper portion, that would be the outer, just like that. Or if I want to do the rim, which is the interior edges, I could increase that to 1. Likewise, if I put all of these to 1, it's just going to give you this result. That's because this entire object is now going to be creased, and it's basically going to render the sub-D as not doing anything except increasing the resolution. You can see here, if I apply that Solidify, you can see the creases are assigned to every single edge on here, and the only thing the sub-D would be doing at this point is increasing the actual resolution of the object. Likewise, maybe I put the rim down to 0 there, put the outer down to 0 as well. Let me turn that sub-D back on. So in this case, we would only have the creasing assigned to this bottom set of edges. So if I apply that Solidify modifier, now we have a crease down there at the bottom. So you can actually customize that with a sub-D workflow. All right, next up, let's say I had a shape like this and I wanted to go in and add in a Solidify modifier here. So I can do that, but let's say, for example, I wanted a very large thickness. Well, eventually what's going to happen here is it's going to start self-intersecting because we have a limitation right there. You can see that very clearly, especially in side mode, right? Now, to avoid that, obviously you can make the bevel a lot larger, or you can go here to thickness clamp, and let's just increase this. What I can actually do here is I can adjust this clamp value. Now, in my opinion, this result looks like shit because of how it actually works, but let's say this is set to 0 and I'm overlapping. There might be a situation where you actually want to increase this and it's going to give you a little bit more space right here, but the shape is just going to look very weird. I don't like it, so keep that in mind. What I would recommend doing instead, if you have a situation like that and you don't want to have those overlaps, I wouldn't recommend using the clamp here. What I would actually do is apply your Solidify modifier, and then you can actually go into Mesh Machine, and there's a feature in Mesh Machine called Unfuck. You can go in here and you can actually adjust it that way. I would really recommend doing that instead. All right, now the final setting here is very advanced. You're probably not going to really ever need to use this, but I'm going to show you how it works anyways. So what I could do here is I could add a Solidify, and then I could apply the Solidify, and then obviously I could assign vertex groups to vertices manually with no issues. However, if I don't want to do that manually, what I can do instead is I can do it directly here in the Solidify modifier. So what I can actually do is I can go to vertex groups, I can call this one rim, and then I can make a new one called shell. And then if I just go here into the Solidify modifier, I can choose shell, and then I can choose rim. And then if I apply that, you're gonna see it actually here, it actually assigned those automatically for me. We have the shell, the bottom set, and then we have this selection here as well. So for example, if you wanted to work like fully non-destructively, so you didn't want to have to apply the Solidify, you could, for example, add those vertex groups right there. And then maybe I went in and I added in like a simple deform modifier, and I'll just subdivide this a few times. And then all I need to do is go here over to restrictions, and then I can go to the vertex group, and then I could choose, for example, the shell right here, and I could, just adjust that area only. You get the idea. If I'm honest, this is pretty useless. You'll probably never use it. And I've also noticed there's some bugs. Sometimes when I use this feature, I get like Python errors. It's annoying, so I'm just showing this for the purposes of the tutorial. All right, so that's everything that you need to know about the Solidify modifier in 2025. Again, you're going to be using simple and complex in the basic settings for 90% of your work, but at least you know what the other more advanced settings do as well. And again, guys, if you want to learn our entire hard surface modeling workflow in about 2 weeks of time with just 30 to 60 minutes per day, like literally thousands of our students have done here, check out our accelerator program in the link in the top of the description or in the pinned comment, and you can learn more about that program right over there. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.